Okay, so it's that time of the year once again. 2023 Craftsman Truck Series playoff predictions, where I make some picks and then I watch how poorly they age. Although this time, compared to all of the previous years that I've done this, as far as the Truck Series goes, this is the year where I feel the most confident. Like, the moment the checker flag fell at Richmond and the race ended, I just knew. I took a look at the playoff grid and I just knew exactly. I had a good idea of how exactly I think this playoff grid is going to turn out. Of course, it still has potential to age really poorly, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But let's get into it. We got Corey Heim, Christian Eckes, Nick Sanchez, Grant Enfinger, Matt DiBenedetto, Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, Matt Crafton, Ty Majeski, and Ben Rhodes. After the dust settled, these are the 10 guys that will duke it out throughout 3 rounds and 7 races for the title. So anyways, let's get on with it. Starting with the round of 10, IRP, Milwaukee, and Kansas. And right off the bat, I am eliminating Matt DiBenedetto and Nick Sanchez. Now, DiBenedetto, Matty D, he has been one of the more low-key surprises this season. I had him in my playoff bubble entering this season as one of the playoff hopefuls. If one of these guys, if one of the guys that I predicted had a bad regular season. Spoiler alert, it did, because Stuart Friesen had a bad regular season. DiBenedetto was there to capitalize, and with a slew of top 10s in the second half of the regular season, he has made it his way in on points, and pretty convincingly too. That small Rackley War team, they have been on the rise since that 2022 Talladega win, which is one of the more forgotten wins of 2022, and one of the more forgotten wins in recent NASCAR memory. Like, seriously, nobody talks about that race, even though this was DiBenedetto's long-awaited first career win in any of NASCAR's top 3 series, and for good reason, because the hype of DiBenedetto was, it has died down ever since he left the Cup Series, and people just kind of forgot about him. But he's definitely started to build something with this Rackley War team. Of course, they're still a ways off, because I'm eliminating them in the first round. And same goes for Nick Sanchez. Now, for Nick Sanchez, I didn't predict him as part of. He wasn't part of my original playoff grid back in February, and that's for good reason, because when it comes to ARCA drivers, they're just so hard to predict. And even if they run good in ARCA, that's no guarantee. Running good in ARCA does not guarantee how good you will be running in the Truck Series. It's like the jump from Xfinity over to the Cup Series is way too steep. Like, you look at the last year's Xfinity champion, Ty Gibbs. Just a few weeks ago, Ty Gibbs, he got his first ever career top 5 at the Cup level. That's just how steep that curve is, or how big the jump is from Xfinity to the Cup Series. I feel the jump from ARCA to the Truck Series, it's just as high. Nick Sanchez being the ARCA champion, I expected him to have like a very similar year to Sheldon Creed, where he was gonna have a slow start, and then he was gonna get better as the season went on, with several strong runs in the playoffs and a few top 5s to close out the season. That being said, though, I was wrong in the sense that I didn't know Nick Sanchez will be this good this early on, especially in qualifying, because I believe to start the season he got 2-3 pole positions. He was starting like in the front row almost every other week. He showed speed pretty early on, and yeah, he struggled to close out a few races, like that Texas race where he led he literally led every lap but the last one. Um, but yeah, he has been just like Matty D. He has been one of the more low-key surprises of the season. He's still a few years off, but he could start competing for wins as soon as next year. I can definitely see him win his first career race next season, and definitely become a title contender from there, similar to Sheldon Creed. And hey, he's running the same number as Sheldon Creed was when he was in the Truck Series and he won a championship. So he's got that going for him too. So yeah, that was pretty simple. Well, it gets a bit more complicated from here because you may start like disagreeing with some of my selections, and that's fine. But round of 8, Bristol, Talladega, Homestead. This is where the run ends for Crafton. And once again, it's been a really great run. I remembered late in the Pocono race with less than 10 laps to go in the Pocono race, Crafton was sitting outside the cut line. And then the big one happened, Stuart Pearson got involved in it, and he got through it. In typical Mike Crafton fashion. And then at Richmond, he does what he needs to do to point his way in. He does it, and once again, he has made it to the playoffs. The only driver to have made it on the playoffs, on the Truck Series playoffs, every year since it was, since 2016, which was the year the playoff format was introduced in the Truck Series. Crafton has made it has been a fixture of the Truck Series playoffs, even as his career has wound down and he's not like winning races anymore. He is still managing to find a way to be in title conversations, even when he doesn't need to be. And this is the fact that I am putting him in the round of 8 is a testament to that. A lot of people will have him eliminated in the round of 10 simply because he is the bottom seed and he doesn't have any playoff points outside of the ones that he got from finishing in the top 10 in points. But the fact that he just always finds a way, I don't think he's gonna make it to the championship 4, but making it past the round of 10 over guys like Matty D and Nick Sanchez, that's definitely a realistic expectation for Matt Crafton, especially with his veteran expertise. I definitely believe he can make it, at the very least, make it out of the first round. But that's where it stops from there. Now we're getting into the real, like, with those 3 out of the way. These 7 guys right here, I believe they have a semi to realistic championship 4. You can make a case for any of these 7 guys to be championship 4, but for my pick, as for guys that I don't think will make it, go with Christian Eckes and Grant Enfinger. Now, these next 2 guys, they're going, I'm going to talk about them together because they're similar, but not really. I mean, they've won 2 races each. But they've won their 2 races in very different fashions. Like Christian Eckes, he's won his 2 races by just dominating. Grant Enfinger, he's won his 2 races by, just putting together a solid race and then just finding victory lane by way of other drivers' misfortunes. Now Eckes, he's more likely to dominate a race, to go out and lead a bunch of laps. I don't believe that Enfinger can do that. With that being said, however, Enfinger, he is more likely to bring the car back in one piece than Eckes is, because Eckes has a lot of like sub 30th place finishes to his credit throughout the regular season. Grant Enfinger, I do believe he has finished every race in the top 20. Last time I checked, I don't know. He's got a bunch of top 15. So on Eckes' best days, he can just win you both stages and the race. Enfinger's best day, he can just win you the race, score like a fair amount of stage points. But Eckes' lows, when Eckes is running bad, he is running really bad. When Enfinger is running bad, he usually it hangs around like in the 15th to 20th place range, not amounting to anything, but at the very least bringing the car back in one piece, unlike Eckes. With that being said, they both have a fair amount of playoff points that I believe they can make it out of the first round. And Enfinger, he won at Kansas in the spring, and he is also the defending race winner for IRP. So if I had to pick one of the two guys to make like a more serious run at the championship for, I'll lean more on Enfinger, although Eckes can be a surprise factor, and that's why he is like more of a sleeper pick than Enfinger is. But both of these guys, they have a realistic shot at championship 4, but compared to the 4 guys that I have, I think they just fall short. And the same goes for Ben Rhodes. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you've been watching some of my older videos, you know that I always put Ben Rhodes here. And that prediction has really, really blown up in my face, because 2021, I had Ben Rhodes out in the round of 8. He won the championship. 2022, I had Ben Rhodes out in the round of 8. He made it to the championship 4 and was a titled runner-up. So you may think that I have learned from my mistakes and I'm gonna put Ben Rhodes in the championship 4. Well, not quite. Now, does that mean that I don't consider Ben Rhodes a championship 4 driver? Of course not. Ben Rhodes is a championship 4 level driver. But the thing is, if you look at the way Ben Rhodes has made it to the championship 4, it's by virtue of other drivers' misfortunes. I mean, you look at 2021, I didn't have Ben Rhodes in the championship 4, but because guys like Sheldon Creed, Todd Gilliland, and Austin Hill, they had several struggles in the earlier rounds. It allowed Ben Rhodes have an easier path making it into the championship 4 on points. And the same goes for 2022. You look at the closeout race at Homestead, like the cutoff race at Homestead. John Hunter Nemechek, he had a ton of issues that prevented him from advancing, and then all Ben Rhodes had to do was just beat Stuart Friesen on points. Maybe he had some help with his ThorSport teammates, who knows, but he did what he had to do, but it came at the cost of John Hunter Nemechek's misfortunes. So that's what the point I'm trying to make is, if Ben Rhodes makes it to the championship 4, it's because of the it's not because he makes it on points, because he does what he has to do, but the fact that other drivers suffer misfortunes, it's really a big boost to him. I'm not saying that Ben Rhodes is it's a Mickey Mouse driver or stuff like that. I don't think that, because if one of your competitors suffers misfortunes, you've got to capitalize, and he has done that. That's why he earned the 2021 championship. That's why he made a solid title defense in 2022. His title defense season was pretty solid, even though he didn't win the title. He did all he could until the last lap to defend his crown. So to that, I definitely applaud Ben Rhodes. But if none of these 4 guys suffers an issue in the earlier rounds, or they aren't eliminated in an earlier round, I just cannot see Ben Rhodes. I just cannot justify putting Ben Rhodes over one of these guys in the championship 4, if that makes sense. So who are these 4 guys? Well, it's Corey Heim, Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and Ty Majeski. You got the regular season champion, you got the defending champion, you got the breakout driver of the season, and the dark horse. Corey Heim, regular season champion by sheer consistency. In my opinion, he has been the most surprising driver of the season, because when I made this prediction back in February, I said Corey Heim, if he makes it to the playoffs, he's going to make it on points, and then he's going to win a race during the playoffs. he actually won 2 races. And not only that, he showed a lot of consistency, and even with him missing 1 race, he still managed to win that regular season title. Zane Smith, I mean, he has put together a pretty solid regular season. Some people are gonna say it's a championship hangover because he has been more inconsistent from his compared to his previous season. I mean, if you want to call it if you want to call like 2 wins and 8 top 5s in the regular season and second in points like a championship hangover, then I mean, be my guest. He has definitely not been the same as last year, but he is still a serious threat for the title. He can still go back to back. Matter of fact, this is Zane Smith's fourth full-time season, and he has made it to the championship 4 in his 3 previous seasons. So he's poised for another deep playoff run all the way to Phoenix to extend that streak. So this is one of the things about Zane Smith that no one really talks about, is the fact that he's got like 3 straight years making it to the championship 4, about to make it 4 if nothing extraordinary happens. Then you got Carson Hocevar, which again, look back to my February video. I said if Carson Hocevar wins a race this season, he's gonna end up winning multiple races. This has been like, you know, a Chase Elliott type of year where except that, you know, Chase Elliott, where his first winning season is a multi-win season, except that in the case of Chase Elliott, he won his 2 races. He won most of his races during the playoffs. I'm talking about his 2018 Cup Series season, by the way. Hocevar, he enters the postseason with a ton of momentum though. 3 wins, including one of the closeout race at Richmond. And I believe that momentum, those playoff points he has, coupled with the momentum that he carries, it could be more than enough for him to finally make a deep playoff run to Phoenix. As a matter of fact, I think he will. And if he wins our race in the middle of that, because again, he finally has the monkey off his back. He is now closing out races, which is something that he couldn't do in his previous 2 seasons. If he wins a 4th race anywhere in the first 2 rounds, these guys better watch out. The rest of the field is in trouble, because when Carson Hocevar is hitting on all cylinders, he is really tough to beat. When he goes out and dominates, the guy just looks unbeatable. And finally, there's Ty Majeski. I know a lot of people are gonna write him off because, you know, he's got 0 wins in the regular season, and he's just failed to execute at the Richmond race. They just threw an easy win away with bad pit strategy, despite having the best car all race. But again, look back to the video I made back in February. I said that Ty Majeski was gonna be the biggest challenger to Zane Smith's title defense. I said that Ty Majeski was gonna be the biggest threat to Zane Smith. Now, he hasn't been that. The biggest threat has been Corey Heim, but after Corey Heim, I'll say, yeah, maybe you can make a case that Ty Majeski has been a biggest threat to Zane Smith, like, you know, like a second or third number 3 guy, on the season. Again, a lot of people are gonna look at me a bit sideways because what you're talking about, Majeski has 0 wins, but look what happened last year. Majeski also entered the postseason with 0 wins, and he won 2, and he ended up winning 2 of them on the same round, no less. Also, the fact that there's a lot of short tracks like IRP, Milwaukee, Bristol, Phoenix is a short track. I don't care what the purists say. And also the fact that he won at Homestead and he is a defending race winner at that race. Majeski has a ton of chances to get a win and get hot like he did last year in the playoffs, which is why I am not writing him off, and that's why I consider him to be my playoff dark horse, just like last year, because he proved that last year. He just came out of nowhere when when I believe I had him eliminated like pretty early last season, the guy just straight up proved me wrong, and ever since then I learned my lesson. I'm putting Majeski in the championship for simply because he has a ton of chances to win in the 2 rounds heading into Phoenix, which will allow him to build momentum and make a serious challenge for the title. Now, do I think he's gonna win the title? Not really. I think the title is gonna come down to these 3 guys, honestly. Simply because to me they have been like the best 3 guys. I mean, Shane Smith again, defending champion. Holsevar has been a winningest driver so far this season. Corey Haim has been the most consistent. It's gonna be to one of these guys. It's gonna come down to one of these 3, in my opinion. Again, this is all dependent on whether Majeski can win a race. If he manages to win a race and make his way into the championship 4 with some momentum, then this just throws my entire prediction off guard. This would just throw my entire prediction off the rails, because at that point you can just put him. I would just consider him like a heavy favorite for the title. But as it stands right now, it's gonna be very hard to not to take the title out of Shane Smith's hands. And again, the main reason I'm not saying Shane Smith's gonna win the championship, but as it stands right now, I just don't see anybody else like making a good case to take the title away from that 38, unless I see it with my own eyes. Like, I still have some questions about Corey Haim on if he can continue that regular season streak he has up into the playoffs. We've seen a lot of cases where the regular season champion, they just have a hard time making it through each round of the playoffs. I mean, it happened to John Hunter Nemechek in 2021. Can Carson Hocevar just not collapse and not lose all the momentum he has? And also, can Ty Majeski just win a damn race? Until those questions are answered, I have a lot of questions for these 3 guys, but for Shane Smith, I just have no questions, because the guy, he's just a proven driver and a proven champion at this point. He has been in the championship for every full-time season in his career. He has the experience, and I believe he should be the odds-on favorite. I don't care what people say that, oh, Corey Haim won the regular season title, he's a title favorite. No, to me the odds-on favorite should be Shane Smith. And again, I'm not saying he's gonna win the title, but the main reason he's my championship pick right now is because I don't see anybody else taking that title away from him. If I put Ty Majeski as a champion or Hocevar as a champion, it's because I believe they can beat Shane Smith outright. But again, I have a lot of questions with these 2 guys, as I do with Corey Haim. Shane Smith, I don't have any questions surrounding him, like no concerns for him, so I just feel he's a safer bet for me at the moment. Again, this is subject to change from round to round, but outside of the championship pick, the rest of these playoffs, they're pretty rock solid. Again, that champion pick is bound to change, but as it stands right now, I'm going with Shane.